Colin was right.
The Seattle Seahawks, many stories reported they were going to hire an in-house candidate to replace Clint Kubiak, the excellent coordinator. They did not. They must have been listening. We are not fans when you replace a great coordinator, offense or defense. Do not go in-house. That is not the best candidate. It's the most comfortable candidate. But the Lions just figured that out after losing Ben Johnson. They went instead and hired a guy in his 40s, don't know much about him, San Francisco tight end coach. Guy's got a lot of experience. Brian Fleury. So again, is he going to work? We're not sure. But they did not go, and we've been talking about how well run the Seahawks are. They did not go with a popular or comfortable in-house candidate.
Well, to be clear, the Detroit Lions hired Snort's Ben Johnson, who was within the organization. Just so we're clear about that. Ultimately, it's about hiring the best man for the job. That's what it comes down to. Whether they're inside the building or not, whether they're in college, whether they're, at a different team, whatever it is, you got to do your due diligence. That's what it comes down to, man. You do the interviews, you have the conversations, and you hire the best person. Now, to Colin's point, a lot of times these guys hire someone who is not necessarily the best person for the job, right? They hire someone inside the building who it is a little bit more comfortable. They have they have a lot of, knowledge of the operation and whatnot, and everybody knows each other, and you're like, yeah, let's hire him. I think we'll be able to kind of pick up where we left off, right? And that's that, to Colin's point, that's what it is. But I don't think it's a hard and fast rule of like never hire inside. Yeah. If you have a Ben Johnson inside the building, well, then you hire him. Like that's just that clear, right? Like that's how it works sometimes. So, that's what it is. I think Brady with the Bills was also inside the building as well. So, it just is what it is in terms of when he became the offensive coordinator. Obviously, when he was the offensive coordinator to the head coach, but yeah. So I'm interested to see how the Seattle Seahawks shape up. I have way more confidence in the defense, obviously, having this continuity and being able to recapture the magic. The offense, question marks right now. Cooper Kupp's getting older. You just lost Clint Kubiak. Do not, I beg you, Seattle Seahawks fans, don't downplay losing a coach. Don't do what the Lions did. Don't do what the Eagles did. Don't do what the Bucks did. Like every team or quarterback that had a lot of success in 1 year with a great co-coach or coordinator, then lost that coordinator, things didn't quite look the same. And again, I'm not saying that the Seahawks aren't going to be able to hit the ground running or have a ton of success. Like I'm not saying that. I'm just trying to emphasize that it's hard. It's not the easiest thing to do. The beautiful thing is that you do have Mike McDonald as your head coach, and that defense should be pretty intact, healthy, young and connected, and obviously a high level of experience. And so that alone now takes massive pressure off of the offense, not unlike kind of like what happened with the Philadelphia Eagles. Eagles obviously were never able to right the ship offensively, but because of what they looked like defensively, they're able to win a lot of games and win the division and not put all that pressure on the offense. They were able to be like, just don't turn the ball over, right? Like, just give us one good half and we'll be able to win some games. The Lions, on the other hand, did not have that benefit of the doubt. And their offense did have problems, and they weren't able to win, and they weren't even able to get out of the division, let alone into the playoffs, right? So that is arguably the best thing that this Seahawks team has going for them in a season, in an off season, and going into a season where there's genuine question marks. There's genuine question marks of how do we continue to evolve this offense and be great. We know we got that taken care of defensively, but offensively, you're literally bringing in a new person now, right? You're bringing a new mind into the building to be like, run our offense, call plays, right? Like there's going to be obstacles, just like there was with Clint Kubiak. Clint Kubiak was not seamless, and like I was like a big believer in Clint Kubiak, but like I was like, stop with the trickery. And I've said this now a million times because it like still makes me angry, even though they won the Super Bowl and they got away with it. I'm just like, what are you doing? What are you doing with some of these bizarre play calls? And, Colin reported that like Mike McDonald was pretty much like, no, 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 enough of that. And like, whether that's true or not, who knows? But it was like, even someone who I obviously respect and obviously helped get you to win a Super Bowl, uh, still kind of had some growing pain, so to speak, right? So, um, I'm just curious to see what this all looks like. I don't have strong feelings either way. I try to reserve my opinions when if I say I believe this is going to be successful, I believe this is going to be great or bad or whatnot, I really want it to be based off of evidence. I want it to be based off of concrete observations. And that's why when it came to Kevin Patullo with the Eagles, and oh man, I completely forgot the coordinator's name. What's it, Morton? I think Morton. I think that's his name for the Lions. I was like, I don't know. I was like, I I genuinely don't know. And I had my reservation, and I was, but I was really excited about Clint Kubiak, and I was really excited about Liam Cohen, right? Like I had confidence in those coaching changes, and in this situation, I don't have a strong sense. I really don't. And lots of things can look good on paper or bad on paper, but you just don't know. Uh, you know. So to me, it's also like, what else are they doing in the run game? Is Walker staying? Is he leaving? Uh, you know, what's what's the plan? And since their defense is so legit right now, I'm interested. I don't know what you do in this offseason, Hassan, in the draft and in free agency. Do you double, triple, quadruple down and be like, this defense is so amazing, let's make it even more amazing, right? Like, let's just be the most dominant defense we ever could be with absolute depth and everything? Or are you like, you know what? No. Like, let's go on this offseason, Asen. Our defense is so legit, so great, and we have such confidence in our head coach, Mike McDonald, in being able to navigate any of the obstacles that you're obviously going to face throughout the course of a season, injuries, whatever. Go all in on the offseason offensively, right? And now really add some juice to this team, right? Like, let's really be able to play some bully ball offensively and whatnot, and allow someone like a Sam Darnold to be even more aggressive, to throw the ball even more down, whatever it may be. I don't know. When you win the Super Bowl and you have a great team and a young team, it's just like, what do you do? I honestly, I don't know. It's obviously a tricky thing that all teams deal with, and also depends on how many players you lose because you can't afford to pay everyone. Doesn't seem like the Seahawks are really at the mercy of that as much as say the Rams were in the past, or the Eagles were, or the Chiefs were. It doesn't seem that the way how this team was kind of built and some of the contracts, and that's a big part of that, is not paying Sam Darnold $230 million. So that goes an incredibly long way. So I think it'll have more to do with the roster itself than the offensive coach hired. But I do think, based on my belief of how well run the Seahawks are, I do believe ultimately, and this is where I'll kind of just emphasize what Colin said. I do believe ultimately, though, that they did hire the person who they just felt was the best candidate for them, the person who can put this team in a position to continue to win. And kind of not overthinking that. And at this point, you do have an experienced quarterback in Sam Darnold, right? You do have that connection and chemistry with, again, a Cup, Jackson Smith and Jigba, etc. So, like, there is plenty to build off of, and I do think it'll be a lot more seamless of a potential transition than what the Eagles had or what the Lions had as the two most recent examples of losing coordinators after successful seasons. The Eagles being so their O-line really kind of just collapsed in a lot of ways. And the Lions, so much of their offense was like on the magic of Ben Johnson and this and that, and they were trying to recapture that, and you're essentially trying to recapture Ben Johnson. And it's like, no, you need a coach who's going to be confident in being able to run the offense as he sees it, right? He has to be comfortable in those things. You can't just kind of try to copy and paste it. Just doesn't work that way. You can build from a system, as we all know. Like, he runs a Shanahan offense. He runs a, whatever offense. Like, you still can have flavors of that, but you still kind of have to find your own voice in all of that, in a way that I don't think the Lions did. And for the Eagles, I don't think they had any voice, quite frankly. It was just kind of like can't we just run the ball? Like, isn't that what we can do? And it's like, no, you're struggling to do that. What else you got? And it's like, hey, geez, I don't know. What did Kel Moore do last year? And it's like, okay, you know what? We're done. So, um, I do think the transition should be a lot more seamless. And I would anticipate, this offense looking similar to how it did this past season, because let's be honest, it's not like this offense was this like super high powered, mind blowing, like, oh my gosh, can you believe it? It was just Snort's highly efficient. And yeah, in the first half of the season, we had some amazing throws and amazing plays and whatnot, but like you didn't watch every single week and just go, oh my gosh, did you see that play? Like, did you see that play called? Like, it was just very smooth and very efficient, and when you have the foundation of that defense being relentless, physical, tough, and brutal, I mean, think about some of their really big game. Think about the biggest game that they won in the Super Bowl. Was there really like, oh my God, Kubek's a genius? Like, I don't really recall many of those moments in that Super Bowl. Don't recall that in the Wild, the divisional round. You had some of that a little bit in the NFC Championship game. So obviously, it's like you still needed it there. If anything, Clinton Kubek to me proved his worth mostly in that game than anything, and what a high level coach can do, and and knowing when to call the right plays, and when there was times when it was like, okay, should you run here? There was, I think we saw, especially in that NFC Championship game, there was moments when I think a lot of people and a lot of coaches would have said, okay, let's run the ball, this, that. And I just remember thinking, no, you have to pass the ball here. You can't run. You're struggling. It's not about just keeping the clock going. You got to convert a first down here. Like, that is what you need to do. And they did it. And not everyone has the ability to do that. Not everyone has the ability to do that. And they did it. And so to me, something as little as that, outside of like a magical play where you scheme someone wide open or whatnot, like sometimes even just being able to call that play in that moment hold a tremendous amount of weight that can kind of get lost in the shuffle of a game, of a season, of a coaching staff, etc. So I think for the Seahawks, those little moments can kind of continue. And to kind of drive that point home, that is absolutely positively where the Detroit Lions failed. Absolutely positively, that is where they failed. And that's why they were still successful against the lower teams. But then I quickly said, what happens when you play a better team? What happens when you play a better coaching staff? And that is absolutely where they struggled, even against Kansas City Chiefs and Spags. It was like, oh, this is night and day difference against Fangio and the Eagles. It was like, oh, this is night and day difference. And it's because it's those tiny little moments, that right play call at the right moment. That is what often matters more than just being able to, shouldn't say more. But those have a tremendous impact on whether you're going to be successful when or not. So I just think those things are hard to predict. But those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about the Seattle Seahawks, their hire of Brian Fleury as the offensive coordinator? How do you feel about this hire? How do you feel about the Seahawks going into this next season? We are only 6.5 months away from the season. So, count down to September. And I wonder, I guess, will the Seahawks have opening day where they've been doing it where like they play on like Thursday or Friday these last couple of years? And I feel like both times it's been both Super Bowl teams have at least played on one of those days. This past year it was the Eagles and the Cowboys and the Chargers and the Chiefs. And the year before that it was the Chiefs and the Ravens, and then the Eagles and the Packers. So I guess you at least always get the Super Bowl winner. Because who the 49ers, right? So I wonder if it'll be the Seahawks at least maybe on the Thursday night, but we got plenty of time to figure that out. But let me know your thoughts. I read every single comment. So whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get to some discussions. Let's get some fights. But ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We're building an amazing community here, and I absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all generally feel connected to, something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're well on our way to doing it. Please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much. See you next time.